So anyways, customers at Walmart. They exist, and I hate that.
I was one of those.
I'm a customer at Walmart.
Me too.
Okay, but you shouldn't be. Do you want to know why you shouldn't be?
Why?
Because Jesus wants me for a sunbeam?
You shouldn't be a customer at Walmart because they are the stupidest people on planet Earth. Okay? Okay. So, like, earlier today, I was chilling, vibing, right? Talking with one of my coworkers who happens to be trans, but that doesn't matter to the story.
Then why did you say it?
Because
it gets
it's
views.
funny.
Talking about trans people.
And
69 at least views.
I love trans people. I love LGBTQIA.
What is happening?
anyways,
More Black
okay.
Lives Matter.
anyways, okay. And so we were vibing. And then we had one of those, like, credit card machines, like, on the wall that don't accept cash. And, like, they were off. And, you know, this guy, he comes in with a cart full of, like, white tubing things. But they were, like, really long. And he had all of the same. I don't know what it was for. But he, like, goes to get, like, to pay at this machine. And we're like, oh, that one's not working at the moment. And he gives the dirtiest look to my coworker who happened to be transgender.
I don't think it has anything to do with the fact that he's transgender.
And I'm like, okay, sure, why not? And then, you know, we're talking, and then as he finishes paying on another register, he decides to give another dirty look at my coworker. Again!
Does he even know your coworker's trans?
No!
Coworker obviously trans.
I mean...
It's his Spidey sense, but it's for trans people.
Oh my heck.
90 cents.
His gaydar was going off.
Okay, and they're the same type of people to, like, see a vacuum,
tingle.
right? And they take the vacuum to self-checkout, okay? And then they scan it, and it comes up at $2.69, and then they call us over and be like, no, it's supposed to be $69. And I'm like, excuse me? That's almost a $300 vacuum, and you think we're selling it for $69?
Hey, yo.
And so, you know, since we can't tell a customer they're an idiot, we call over a manager, and that's why you'd get fired. So we call over a manager, and he comes over, and he's like, what's happening? And I'm like, vacuum, price change, way too big. And he's like, okay, fair enough. I'll go check it out. He goes, he checks on it. He uses his talkie-walkie, which is French for walkie-talkie. That's a fact. and then another one of my managers comes by, and he tells him, like, hey, you know, it's over $200. It's not the $69 one. And they're like, no, it's not. It's $69. And he's like, but I have a guy over there. And they're like, no, you're wrong.
You're wrong.
And he's like, wait, this isn't how it's, no, you're supposed to be like, oh, my bad, you know, and they're like, nope, it's your fault. And he's just like, well, I can't sell you the vacuum for that price. And they're like, fine, take it off. And then we take it off.
What?
For whatever reason, we couldn't take the vacuum off of their purchase list.
Wow.
And so we're like, oh, okay, I guess we'll suspend the transaction and put it on a different machine. And so we do that. And then we couldn't take it off again. And so I'm like, okay, kinda weird. And so we, you know, they didn't have that many items, so we're like, okay, we'll just scan them without the vacuum machine. And while we're scanning them, they're like, you know, your customer service could be better.
Your smarts could be better.
That's so funny.
And this happens more often than you'd think. Like the other day, I was working in the garden center, okay? And this old lady comes by, you know, and she's like, hey, I want help to get a lawnmower out of the thing. And I'm like, oh, yeah. You know, I'll call someone over. And keep in mind, our garden center has literally one person working there at, like, any given time. And she's like, no, I need help now. And I'm like, yeah, that's why I'm calling someone over now, because I can't leave this spot. People could leave the store right there. Like, I have to make sure no one just steals 5,000 Xboxes, okay? And she's like,
That'd be kind
fine.
of funny though.
It would.
And she's like, fine, whatever, call him over. And, like, 10 minutes later, because, I'm working at a Walmart, people are kind of, doing their jobs. They can't attend to every single person's need instantly.
I mean, it'd be better if they could, but
We're understaffed. What do you want? And so,
I want better customer service.
go work at Walmart then.
I plan on it.
And, whatever. And so, like, my boss finally comes over to me and he's like, all right, where's the person that needed help? And I'm like, I don't know. She left. Just kind of walked away without telling me where the vacuum was that she wanted. He's like, oh, okay then. And then he walks out. And he eventually finds the old lady, okay? And it's always old ladies that cause trouble at Walmart. I don't know why.
Their pastime. How they adjust
They
to
have
the
nothing
neighborhood.
better to do.
I think that's it. But, and so we're finally checking out, and I don't know what happened between these two, but, like, clearly she has a vendetta against him. Because, like, they're checking out, and she's just like, your guys' customer service sucks. And then walks out.
And then walks out.
And I look at my boss, and he looks at me. And then I look at the door. And then I look back at my boss, and he just shrugs and moves on with his day.
It's like,
And I'm like, I mean, fair enough, but...
I bet you that's fairly common at Walmart.
Yeah, probably.
Oh no, the first day that boss had become a team lead, he had gotten 5 death threats.
Dang.
One of those was me.
Gotta love Walmart.
Right.
And I'm like, do people really
Capitalism.
care about, like, Walmart so much? Oh, and while working at Walmart, I've learned that companies decide when their coupons expire, like, on the day, right? Yeah, they also decide the hour. And it's random. It's not like a concise hour that it ends. And so we're just supposed to accept it at any time. Except, sometimes the coupons expire before the day ends, and so we're required to manually put in the coupon. Except if you put in a coupon for more than $4, and this is like overall coupons, you have to get like a CSM to come over and like check it out. Why the hell do old ladies keep bringing 70 coupons?
Because they're old ladies. They have a lot of coupons.
Even adding the hell for emphasis, dang.
Like, I swear, like, today alone, I had, like, one old lady, and she was like, I have 7 coupons that aren't scanning, and I'm like, oh, okay, this should be fine. And then, like, it wasn't
Famous
fine.
words.
It wasn't fine. And so... And so I'm like, okay, I check the dates, it's like, yeah, today is the day that it's supposed to expire, but, we accept it still, and I'm like, okay, whatever, these companies are just weird, they probably made it to, like, 1 in the morning when they expired because they hate me. And so, I put it in, and then I put it in, and, oh, funny fact, I was on self-checkout. And my bosses don't care about self-checkout. And so I put in the request for them to, accept the coupons. And then I waited. 5 minutes go by. And then 10 minutes go by. And then 20 minutes go by.
Coupons.
And I'm like, do you like need to be somewhere? And she's like, no, I can wait. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. And then 40 minutes goes by. And then my break comes, and someone else comes over and is like, hey, what's happening? And I'm like, oh, not much, just waiting for the coupons to go through. And he's like, oh, well, how long has it been? And I'm like, about an hour and 55 minutes. And he's like, oh, do you want me to keep my numbers in? And I'm like, you know, at this point, it would probably save us time. So he keys in his numbers, and, you know, we go on with our day. And, another one
Did
comes
she
in with
actually wait
coupons.
that long?
Yes, she waited that long
Oh my
for
heck!
$6
How much
in
free
coupons.
time did this old lady have? Is that all she does? Is go to Walmart with 7 coupons?
She must. Like, I swear, I'm like,
If you, how can you wait 2 hours for your coupons to work? What did she do?
she was buying a lot of soap, man. Okay, like she needed her
Soap?
coupon. Oh, and today, I hope you guys didn't try to buy any gummy candy because they're all recalled.
Nope,
Oh,
I did the other day.
Yeah, the
2
other
days
day.
ago.
Yeah, no, today.
I did 2 days ago.
Today they were recalled. And
Why?
I don't know. That's the same question I've heard 70 times today. Because people are, like, I'll be sitting at self-checkout, and I've got this, like, mobile device that tells me, like, what people need and, like, if an error occurs. And, like, I'll see, like, recalled item pop up on a register. You know, I go over there, I'm like, hey, guys, what's the last item you scanned? And they're like, oh, these Skittles gummies. They said it said there was an error with it. I'm like, yeah, it's a recalled item. And they're like, why? Which leads me on to the old lady I had to deal with today. So, there was this
I don't
older
know what
lady.
keeps happening to your voice.
Oh, I bring the microphone closer to my mouth. That's what's happening. It's the funny mic.
yeah.
There's this old lady who comes by and is like, you know, she gets the recalled item, and it was like some gummies of, like, I don't know, Skittles or Lifesaver, something like that. And it gets a recall, you know, I walk over there and I'm like, hey, that item you scanned is on recall. And she's like, why? And I'm like, I don't know. She's like, why? And I'm like, I don't know. All I know is it's recalled and I can't sell it. And she's like, why? And I'm like, don't get mad. And then I'm like, you see, the company behind the Lifesavers was like, ayo, we can't sell this for whatever reason, you know?
And the store closed.
It's just restarting.
Gay. I mean,
and
Homosexual.
and so, you know, I'm like, I can't sell this to you. And she's like, but I want it. And I'm like,
But
you
you'll
can't have it. It could potentially kill you. That's why it's on recall. And she's like, that's okay. I want it. Let me buy it. And I'm like,
That's okay.
I'm like, ma'am, this is a pack of Lifesaver gummies. And she's like, exactly. They'll save my life. She didn't say that, but I imagine she thought it. And I'm like,
Lifesavers, I won't die.
and I'm like, okay, but I still can't sell this to you. And she asked again, why?
We'll make a deal.
And I'm like, okay, look, I'll just take these now. And she's like, you can't do that, I'm buying them. And I'm like, no, you're not.